Hey everybody, welcome back. So I wanted to do 3 more of these examples with these different crystallographic directions, because in our previous one we always started at the origin. When you're not starting at the origin, things get a bit more difficult. So let's do this, and I'll be writing with black, not red. There we are. So a more general way of doing this is to say what's the place I start at and what's the place I end at, and subtract those. And you can still just say, how far you're going in a particular direction. So we'll do this guy first. So I'm starting here, and I'm going down to this point on the opposite corner. So to do that, I'm going to have to go backwards in the x direction. So that's -1 in the x. I'm going to have to go to the left in the y direction. That's -1 in the y. And I'm going to have to go down in the z direction. That's -1 in the z. So where do I start? Where do I end? This one still works out really well. As a note, technically we would write something like this, 3 bars across the top. But when you're actually entering this online, you're usually using a negative sign because putting a bar is not easy for programming into computers. Okay, let's try this one right here. This one's a bit more difficult. It's still, though, not all that hard. Okay, so I'm going from this point which is halfway along this line to a point which is 1/3 of the way along this line. And it's not 100% clear here. If I'm looking at this, I would have to say that this distance right here is probably the third and not the other one. So if I'm wrong, well, I'm wrong. I'll get the problem wrong, but I'm doing my best here with the information it gave. These are not beautiful 3D models. Okay, so once again, we're going to just walk it in each direction. So first I'll go in the x direction. So if it's 1/3 this way, that means it's going to be 2/3 that way. So I'm going to go back 2/3. Okay, did that. And then I'm going to go in the y direction. I'm going in the y direction, +1/2, because I'm already halfway here. And in the z direction, I'm going 0 because I'm not moving anywhere. Now remember that I cannot ever have fractions for these directions. I have to have whole numbers. So I'm going to multiply by the least common denominator, which, let's see here, would be 6. So let's multiply by 6 and see what I get here. Okay, so that is correct. Yes, it is. So I'll get 12/3, and then 6/2, and then 0. So I plug it in, I get 4, 3, 0. All of them positive because all of them are in the positive direction. Now, that worked fine. Just knowing what steps you're taking works fine. Here's another way we could have done it, okay? So another way that you can do these kinds of problems is to simply figure out where it is based on the origin for each of those points. So where is this guy based on the origin? Where is this guy based on the origin? So we'll do the second one first. So this guy right here, the one I have circled still, I'll put a little X on it. It is 1/3 in the X, okay. Put it in parentheses for this one. It is 1 in the Y and 0 in the Z. The second one is now right here. So I'm going to be going 1 in the X. Cool. I'm going only 1/2 in the Y and still 0 in the Z. And once I have that, I can just subtract the two. Oop! And it's a good thing I did because I made a mistake. Or did I? Let's see here. No, I didn't make a mistake. I did good. Or did I? I did make a mistake. Good. Okay, so this is my final. This is my initial. Should I forget which one's final initial? This is the point of the arrow. This is the tail. And it's a good thing I checked this because I did have a sign I forgot. So I have 1/3 minus 1. I have 1 minus 1/2, and then 0 minus 0. That's my vector. And so I get -2/3. That's where I missed my sign. And then I get 1/2 and 0, which comes out to be -4, 3, 0. Or if you want to write it the way that your book does, it would be 4 with a bar over it, 3, 0. That is my direction. Okay. So it's always nice to check things. Whew. Okay, last one right here. Let's try it out, and then we'll be done with these problems. So I'm going to do it the same way. So I'm going to do final point right here. That's the point. So I go, it looks like 2/3 in the x. Okay, so 2/3. I go 0 in the y and 0 in the z. Okay, that's my first point. For my second one, I go half in the x. Okay, I'm 1 in the y, and I'm half in the z. There we go. That looks good. And so this is the tip, this is the tail. So it's always tip minus tail. Now I do have an issue here that this is 2/3 and this is 1/2. So how do I subtract those? I make it on the same denominator. So this will be 4/6, this will be 3/6. And so I get a difference of 1/6. Next one's really easy. It's just 0 minus 1, so it's -1. Last one is 0 minus 1/2, so that's -1/2. There you go. Now, once again, I have fractions. I need to multiply by something to get them to be common. So I'm going to multiply everything by 6. And so I get 1, -6, -3. Or if I wanted to, I could write that as 1, 6 bar, and then 3 bar. And get it just as well. That's my direction. And I'm done. So hopefully this helps you. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.